Hello, I see I got a couple people in the room. Let me click my music off. Pause. Stop. All right. Yeah, I was having a hard time titling this car ride chat. Um, until I saw a very interesting story, and then it just started getting more and more crazy throughout the day. Hello, everybody, and I'm so glad you're all joining me for what I've been thinking car ride chats. Man, we could talk about so many different issues. I know you guys see the main story I have in there that Rachel Maddow is ruled as entertainment. We'll get more into that story after I get these other couple of stories that I had in mind that I wanted to get out of the way first. So I guess we'll get into infrastructure. For those who are not familiar with what's been going on as far as infrastructure. Of course, the Democrats have been trying to get an infrastructure bill passed. There's been fighting back and forth with the Republicans. That's neither here nor there. I don't want you to focus on the back and forth fighting. Focus on we need to get it done no matter what. This is something which I paid attention to for a long time on, especially when maybe about 10 years ago when I started noticing that something like 75% of the bridges in America have at least a C minus rating. And there are quite a bit which already have a D or an F rating. That said, when they start getting to that point of a D or an F rating, those are bridges that are bound to fall and drop at any moment. I know I brought it up yesterday talking about, like, for instance, Hurricane Katrina. The State Department was begging for more funding because they were predicting that if they had a major category Cat 4 or a Cat 5, type storm, which Hurricane Katrina came in as a strong 4 and then was a 5 for a little while while it was actually hitting the, I guess, New Orleans region, because it spanned all the way through there. It hit parts of Mississippi and a lot of other, parts down there. But the thing is, because of the way that city is, because of the elevation dips, for those who are not familiar with New Orleans, when you get to the downtown area, it does feel like you're going down an elevation. It's noticeable. And that dip is because the city is basically almost built in a bowl. And what they've done is they built these levees to basically go all the way around the city to keep the water out. That's the reason why, they're sitting like basically in a bowl. Well, they've been saying that the storms have been getting stronger and stronger and stronger year after year. And so without getting the funding and with the storms getting stronger, it was only a matter of time before Hurricane Katrina happened. Getting back to my point on infrastructure, just yesterday we had, what was it, a walking bridge that collapsed. At least 4 people were hospitalized. And then in the state which I just recently, well, I guess it's not recent anymore, but the state which I was living in for over a decade, Florida, um, just had a apartment building completely collapse in South Florida. Um, I am not surprised, honestly. Um, it's sad, of course. It's definitely sad. And prayers out to those families. Hopefully there's plenty of survivors, and that it's just not finding a whole bunch of dead bodies. My prayers. But these situations come about because you have state governments which play play very dangerous games with funding and about the actual major things in the city. You want to spend money about post office and we need extra this for the deficit for the debt and whatever. All those things are important, but bridges that you can't just tell a bridge, okay, I know you're falling apart, but don't worry, we'll take care of you later. What's going to eventually happen is you're going to have, people who are going to be on that bridge and that bridge is going to collapse and you're going to have bodies on your hand. And if you think it's expensive to fix that bridge, think about how much more expensive it's going to be to have to rebuild that bridge and pay out all the lawsuits to all the families that you basically destroyed out of your, unwillingness to just do common sense. It's common sense to fix where you live. It's just like um people who like the I remember what was it, the St. John River Keeper, which we had in Jacksonville area. Those people who are out there, those river keepers, a big shout out to all of you out there because you guys understand that we need our water. We need to keep our water clean. For some reason, the elites believe that I don't know. Maybe they do have a secret stash of food and water that's completely separate and air that's completely separate from the rest of us because that's the only thing that makes sense. How they pollute everything, how they basically tear apart everything that we have around us. I was one of those people that was really big on on Carter and the solar panels which he had installed on top of the White House. And I figured, if we really start pushing towards solar, that can really help and go a long way towards some of these climate issues that we're having. Well, something that I didn't factor in, and a lot of people I don't believe factored in, that there is a lot of waste that comes with solar. Um, and it's starting to be whereas okay, we fixed one problem and just created a whole string of other problems. And that's the problem that which we're running into in a lot of these solutions that are coming from the top down, of course. There are so many ways which we can help counteract some of these things and do it in a better way. But the system at the top needs to be dismantled. That's the only way anything worth a damn can get done. Because as long as you have the greediest, selfish, the most selfish people ever to walk the face of this earth in power with all of the wealth, making all of the decisions, this is the kind of crap that's going to keep going on. We're going to have, a point where okay, people's water is completely, undrinkable. Uh, look at what was going on in Flint. Look at what was going on in Denmark, South Carolina. Look at what goes on all throughout Texas and those areas where they're fracking. I mean, we the water dish doesn't get bad all of a sudden. We make it bad. We make the air bad. I mean, this is what people who don't respect the land and going back to my Native American ancestry and family. That's one thing which was pushed very and promoted very, very strongly within the community. Have a respect for nature and honor nature back by not destroying nature. If you need to cut down a tree, that's fine. But don't decide I just want to cut down tree after tree after tree because I think this would look better wide open. That's not taking care of the earth. Um, the pollution. I mean, I live in LA, and one of these days I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna hook up my GoPro and I'm gonna float around and show you all different parts of the city. And it's this area where I went past called Skid Row, and I know everybody here know the songs, but I think for those who've only heard it in songs and references, you all need to actually see what Skid Row really looks like. And that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make sure to take you all down there. You can see that. Got a little bit off topic, but like the car chats go, that's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna get a little bit off here and there into different subjects, but you all know me well enough to realize this is what you'll get sometimes with my ramblings. But nonetheless, I appreciate you all for being here. Back onto the infrastructure. With that building falling, it's not surprising. And one of the jobs I was doing when I was in Florida is I used to work for Lowe's, and I did numerous different things while I worked at Lowe's. But one of the main things which I did is I worked in delivery for a while, and in working in delivery, uh, you start going into, I mean, like some of the homes we delivered into, I I was almost terrified carrying the stuff up the stairs because I felt like, and all it takes is to shake a little too hard on these stairs, and we're going down. And when you realize that Florida is full of sinkholes for one, which pop up all over the place. Two, a lot of the counties, the corruption that goes on in there with the builders, what they'll do is they'll say, you know what, we already see that this plan has already been greenlit. So what we'll do is we'll just submit the paperwork with an already greenlit plan. That way, it lets them get past doing some of the things which they need to do. Are all those plans that were grandfathered in good plans and solid framework? No, they're not. But because of how certain laws were written in these different little municipalities and different cities, these are the kind of things which happen. That's the reason why you have in places like Dubai, where you have the tallest buildings in the world, and you'll have these beautiful buildings they'll build up and then just fall over, you know, unexplained because they don't enforce, restrictions, proper restrictions and safety and saying, you know what, hey, we don't know about this. This may be unsafe, it may not be. Well, we do that here in the States. We just don't do it as a whole entire nation. You normally find out the hard way when something bad or fucked up happens to you. That's normally when you find out how shitty the rules are or your government is and things like that. Um, for instance, when I was living in Jacksonville, one of the bridges there, I believe it was the Dames Point Bridge. At the top of that bridge, when you get to it, it has grates. Um, and it was fine. They left it like that for many years. But the problem is, out of every single bridge in Jacksonville, that bridge led to more deaths than any other bridge because when it would rain, people are speeding up the bridge, and then once they get to that top part of the bridge where you have the metal grates, now you have wet tires coming from pavement onto slick metal. You had a lot of accidents, or cars would just like literally somehow veer off. I don't know how they skip through all the stuff on the sides, but somehow that became a thing which happened over and over and over. And it literally took until, you just had, I mean, they easily probably could have counted up maybe 100 people over, say, a 20-year period. And for me, if I even have a portion of that number, that's that's not what I'm going to do. Oh, this guy is literally walking into the street. That's what you get on the high right chats. I'm like, get out of the way, Mr. Pale Guy. Not just because he's white, he's just really, really pale. I almost look garbage pale kid. But and let me stop. I should be talking about these. But he did look like a garbage pail kid. Anyway, uh, let's see. What was the other subject? I did want to talk about infrastructure. Oh, if I remember the other subject I had besides Rachel Maddow, and we're still riding, I will go into it. But you know what? Let's go on and have a fun story for a change. We are going to talk about Rachel Maddow, or as I call her, Rachel Mad Cow, because it seems like she's been eating some rabbit ground beef for the last, probably 6 or 7 years, where she's went a little bad shit crazy. Um, And full disclaimer, I used to have a lot of respect for her. I used to have some respect for various commentators on MSNBC. Just because I've said that, don't make the mistake that I still have that same respect for them. I have no respect for anybody in mainstream media. Wow. It seems like I said that and people automatically assume I'm like I have some kind of love for MSNBC and they tune out that quick. I don't. So for those who dropped out, make sure you follow through. I don't like Rich Mount. I think she's batshit crazy. Actually, I don't think she's crazy. I'll tell you what I think she is. I think she's smart and corrupt. That's what I would say. I would say that she knows her audience is mostly, I would say, older Gen X to baby boomers. And most of the baby boomers, especially, I've had this conversation with them, and I try to break this down to them. And then some of them will be honest enough to say, "Oh, wait a minute, you got a point there. I never really looked at it that way." But most of them, most of them are going to be how they're going to be. But when it comes down to the movements and stuff, I mean, think about it. Whether you were a Bernie supporter or Tulsi or whoever you were supporting, the amount of older, say, boomer voters who were supporting those candidates, were very, very low. And so I say that so that for those who get in their feelings a little bit and like, well, I'm a boomer and I'm not like that. Okay, you're not like that, but you're far, far outnumbered. I mean, you're like 1 in 10. So we can't rule on the 1 out of 10. We have to go with what the 9 out of 10 are saying and thinking. The 9 out of 10 are the only ones who are propping up, MSNBC, CNN. Uh, I really wish I could bring that clip up, but I was watching a clip earlier, and it was going into the actual demographics when you start looking into what ratings they're getting. I mean, for CNN, MSNBC, Fox, which these are multi-billion dollar corporations. When you look into their numbers for, let's say, what is it? I think it was what 19 to 45 or whatever. You look in that demographic, it is ugly for them. I mean, if you were looking at that as a gauge on future viewership, it's almost like once their viewing audience either gets to the point where more than let's find out the best way to say this, cleanest way to say this. Um, More of their viewers right now are just unable to watch the content, whether it's mental issues or I'm talking about like not like they went crazy all of a sudden. I'm talking about dementia, Alzheimer's. If any of those things are going on, if their health takes a turn to the point where they're not really following that stuff and they can't get out and be active in voting, there's going to be like almost, I mean, it's going to go from kind of stagnant to like instant drop, like and a massive, massive drop. I mean, I heard numbers where it's like the millennials, where they're getting something on the weekend. If they don't have a major guest, something like 25,000 viewers. I mean, 25,000 viewers is nothing for what they, I mean, for the amount of money that they put out, the amount of I mean, there's they're giving away free in so many places. I mean, they get viewers sometimes. Like some people just turn the TV on and fall asleep with it and get viewers that way. I mean, you can't like really leave your internet on and get viewers. But I mean, how many people I know of who just walk in, turn CNN or MSNBC or Fox or OAN or whatever, and then go in the kitchen, start cooking, doing whatever. And that's what they're listening to, you know, pretty much their whole evening going into the night until they start watching whatever other programs. But if these people are the only ones that are keeping you afloat, I mean, all of us independent media need to be like, we need to be popping bottles of champagne, the way the future looks, because it's showing that most of the American public is just, they're tuning out to this. It showed that, even those who were just wanted to get Trump out, who were tuning in to MSNBC and those places during that time period, they've already went back to not giving a damn anymore and not following anything, like we all knew. We knew exactly everybody's going back to brunch. And so far, even though everything that's going on with Trump is, in my opinion, no different than what was going on. I mean, everything that's going on under Biden is no different than what was going on under Trump. I mean, yes, okay, the rhetoric's a little bit different. Okay, yes, Biden tries to talk in a more conciliatory tone, but overall, what actions are you seeing? He just put sanctions on, I don't even remember which nation anymore. I mean, how many people has he already put sanctions on since he's been in? Same thing that Trump was doing. Uh, uh, let's see, the stuff that's going on in Israel, him basically being forced because they can tell that as a whole, Americans as a whole, have kind of their tone is shifted on the whole Israel versus Palestine thing. That's the only thing that got Joe Biden to say anything different. But otherwise, he's basically the same position which Trump was. Um, you look at the interest rate stuff. He's basically going to keep the Trump tax cuts. All he's going to do is take a couple percentage points, raise that up just a little bit, and then give a couple more loopholes to leave it basically the same shit as it was before. Um, he's another thing. What is it? The kids on the border, still throwing kids in cages, separating them from their parents. Um, Also, he is already deported more Haitians than Trump did his whole term. Right now, he's already done that. So when you say Trump is a racist, shithole countries, remember that? And he's talking about Haiti and he was deporting Haitians. Well, what do you say about so? Which is worse? A guy calls the country a shithole country and deports some of them, or the guy who quadruples that amount but never says a word about it? Which scenario do you prefer? I mean, me, I would rather take the guy who does more talking and less action. And that's one thing, that Biden has been. He's been action. People say, "Oh, well, they fall for, you know." I don't, and I don't get it. I mean, maybe if I was white, maybe he would remind me of my grandfather or something like that, and maybe that's why everybody's so nice and so. I don't get it, honestly. Um, Joe Biden, all he reminds me of is, you know, basically a decrepit version of Mad Men. That's what he is to me. And for those who are not familiar with Mad Men, all he is Mad Men were those that white male patriarch who was either stealing ideas from his colleagues around him, who maybe were a little bit too kind, a little bit too nice, a little too timid to push back. The one who is ready to go on ahead and flirt with every damn woman in the office. Um, and sexualize every single woman, and then also has every racist joke under the sun. Oh shoot! I see. I got red economics in the house. Ethiopia and Eritrea. Boy, oh boy. That's a story that I'm gonna save that one for when I can really, really get into it. I've been talking with Tedros a lot about that, and Tedros, he's Ethiopian, and so that subject really really touches home. Um, I don't know if you knew, but but my other co-host also, Emmanuel. Actually, no, no, sorry. I think Emmanuel's Nigerian. Sorry, but yeah, we're definitely going to get into that subject. I still need to hit you up for a DM you Stevie, to kind of work out when to get you onto the show, because there's so many subjects to talk about. Just a matter of which ones do we really want to dig into during that time period. So make sure to hit me up if I don't hit you up after later on after this live stream, and I'll probably be on Discord later on. So make sure to say hi. Let's see. Another comment says, I don't get it either, dude. It's gaslighting. Biden is total creep and a racist cycle. Like I was saying, I don't know if you've seen yet. I did a panel yesterday on Franco's show with RJ from Fred Hampton. Well, RJ and Sabrina from Fred Hampton's Leftist. Which, if you are not following them, please, please, please go and check out their content. I was saying that part of because the subject which Franco brought up was about what it's like being a black content creator, and from my from my um from my colleagues within the independent sphere, you know, it I don't have any problems there. They're not the ones that are the problem, and my viewers, they're not the problem, but it's for, I feel, the people who are kind of newbie to politics, especially kind of like white suburban kids, because it's not that they have it in their head to be racist and not want to listen to, black commentators, but it's out of sight. Sorry about that. It does that occasionally on me. Up, up, up. Okay, I guess I'll go back. I'll try to remember what I said. Hopefully I wasn't out too long, and you guys didn't miss too much of what I said. Um, what I was saying on there about black, about being a black content creator, um, and I was saying that I feel the biggest problem, honestly, I guess it can be a good problem, a fixable problem. So I guess we'll call it a good problem. A lot of the people who are kind of newer, mostly the suburban white kids who didn't grow up hearing, black voices, and and part of it is because YouTube is against us for one. They do a lot of the suppressing, but I mean, we don't get the exposure, and so a lot of times, if you're out there and you notice this one content creator that you like, and you see bigger content creators, prod them to get those other content creators on. That way we're getting more diverse thought bounced around, we're having more ideas, and that's how you're more productive. Put your minds together instead of only using the same group of minds which you always come together with. um, Sabrina, she made an amazing point, and I'm gonna try to use her reference. She said, "Oh, thank you, Stevie. Perfectly, perfect. So I guess I caught it before I was out too long. Good. But she said that it's kind of like a pro sports team. Everybody knows the players on the field, but what happens, black content creators, and it doesn't matter how knowledgeable, how good we are, how great we are, how shitty we are, whatever, we're not being put in the game. That's the problem. So if we're never getting in the game, it's hard to see what we can add to the team. And so I was telling people, I said, I know in my case in particular, a lot of mine is a lot of my problem getting out is censorship directly from YouTube. I mean, they bury so much of my content, and so and if I say one wrong word, I know I'm about to get a strike. So I get strikes all the time. I've had a couple of videos taken down, so I know that most of the barrier that I'm having is coming from YouTube. I mean, when they literally blocked me in a couple of European countries, I know that yes, that's why I'm not getting through. So I don't even put that on. I don't put that on like some people will be like, well, why am I losing viewers all of a sudden? Well, that's why. Don't think that, you know what, I said something wrong. Because a lot of times we'll automatically put it back on ourselves. Well, maybe that point that I made, maybe I went a little too fiery. Maybe I disclaimer. Start thinking that it's something you did and not realizing most of the time it's the damn algorithm. Um, I say some stuff sometimes where, my passion gets the better of me. And I won't lie, I do have anger that sits in the back of my mind, on things. I just try to make sure that I'm not, I'm not taking that out on somebody unfairly. Oh, I guess we have a new person. Yeah, ICU. Funny name. Hello, ICU. Said, oh, that's a really good point. And by the way, that was an excellent panel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm glad you saw it. But it's just a matter of getting more exposure, and sometimes uh, our white commentator counterparts uh, are actually the ones who can be the biggest, secret weapon for us, because if they're helping getting our content out there, I also feel like it will help also some of my white content creator friends, because then people who really look into politics or care about the discussions at all more apt to start listening, even white commentators, black and brown face, both, and it kind of like cut out. All right, there we go. I'm sorry, I got near the train tracks, and it does not like me at the train tracks. He said even if that the Ah, okay. All right. Cool. Let's see if it's done fucking with me for a moment. Goodness gracious. All right. Um, yeah, I know that they do it, and I just wish that. Well, I know that there's not much I can do about it, and I already know that on my newest channel, Hebrew Apologetics, the videos which I'm doing on there, because I might get a little bit of I might get a little bit of a grace because most people are gonna see Hebrew apologetics, think Bible stuff, and just like, I'm not even gonna waste my time. But let's just say I am calling out a certain group of people. I'm calling out owners, and I decided, you know what? The old phrase, when you go for the king, you bet not miss. Well, what I decided to do is I'm doing this almost like a deposition. What I mean by that is with every video I'm doing, each video is laying out a piece of evidence. So with this little bit, and then this little bit, and then this little bit, and then this little bit, it's gonna start to paint a picture for you. And as you all start to see this picture that I'm painting, it's gonna make so much more sense what the hell is actually going on what I'm talking about. I go into, in fact, I haven't even went much into actually scripture or reading the Bible. Uh, it's been mostly breaking down ancient history because for those who don't know, uh, I was a history major, political science minor. I like as a kid, I used to read encyclopedias for fun. Um, and then with a lot of the traveling that I done while I was in the military, I mean, I lived in multiple countries, been through multiple war zones. So, and me being a people person, um, anybody I've always found the ability. Oh, I won't say always because there's always the exception to the rules. But I've always been able to find kind of a middle. I've always found where I could bond with other people on, whether it's a person who's just big on sport, whether it's talking about whether it's talking about just you know, whatever. I've normally always been able to find that that bond between people, and I feel like that's a skill, talent, maybe a blessing or a gift. I don't know. I'll take it, but I very rarely have a hard time getting along with people, and I feel like that is a tool that should be utilized. And if you have that tool, keep doing it. Keep reaching out. Oh yeah, I was talking about before. I want to try to get Ed on. Those who are not familiar with JL7, um, he does some good content. He's out in New York. That's one reason. But two, because out of all the people I know of who were Yang supporters, he's the only one that I know of that was still not necessarily supporting Yang still, but he was following all the movements. And so by following Yang, staying abreast of Yang, he became like the person I look to on Andrew. So when I bring Ed on and he's talking about Andrew Yang, don't think that I just brought him on because he's Asian and he's talking about another Asian. It's because he has been following Andrew Yang. That's why. So I don't want anybody to take that, take such a, I don't know how to say it. I guess a shallow viewpoint of it, thinking that way. Although, like I've said before, I do believe that if you want to get the best take on a situation, you should try to first start with people who are within that community. A Yang Gang person definitely be in that community. Just like if you wanted to ask about Bernie, you should go and ask Bernie supporters. Uh, I say, yeah, it goes tough sometimes. We butt heads, but I do appreciate the work he does. Yeah, I mean, he can be kind of he can be a little bullheaded. Um, but I think he's well intentioned. So I try to keep that in mind with him. He's trying. Um, and some of these well, I can't say youthful because I think me and Ed are close to the same age. He just looks a lot younger than he actually is. Um, but yeah, I definitely think that the way we can get ahead and help out all content creators, not only just, you know, black commentators like I talked about yesterday with Franco, but um all commentators, black and brown and women also. I think women are they've kind of definitely picked up in a short amount of time, but it's still I feel a deficit between how many men are out there and how many women who are actually in the top levels. Besides shitty ass TYT, which has a bunch of women, I mean, for the most part, most of the women commentators outside of say, you know, Abby Martin. Well, I'm trying to think of good ones. Katie Halper. You know, it starts getting, you know, a little harder, you know, to find that. And I've always felt that you want to reach out to more people and different people. Sometimes you could see everything perfect, and that's not enough. Sometimes people need to see somebody that looks like them saying it. And I know that's jacked up, but I mean, we gotta keep in mind reality, and we gotta try to take a little bit of psychology when we're engaging and dealing with people. One of the phrases I love to say all the time, it's paraphrasing from the Bible, but it says we got to be as wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. So that's always my approach, trying to have patience, trying to always deliver and find the appropriate response back to the person or people that I'm dealing with. Um, and I advise you all to do the same. Saturday, I am going to have a candidate on. I know that's strange since I've a while and I'm not really big on electoral politics, but the only but is you are running in a local municipality in a state which I know is not corrupt. And so I'm saying if you're running even in New York or you're running New York, Illinois, California, I don't know if I'm going to really want to get involved in that. But you're coming from, you know, some eastern states or Midwest or, you know, the Northwest. I do want to talk to you. If you are running, you know, in Latin America, um, and I guess well, Spanish speaking audience for, you know, a full Spanish. Yeah, candidates who are safe, then yeah, I'll gotta have some kind of shot. And I'm always in the camp of the underdogs. So I'm always gonna fight for the underdogs. Um, let's see. These last couple of comments and then hop on all. Um, got a passion and energy amount of puts into things. It's pretty amazing. Yeah, it is, and it's fun watching, you know, process the music and all that. He looks like he's having a shitload of fun. I'm editing and I'm looking at the stuff, doing this, and you know, walk up and ask me questions. What? And I'm like, sorry. That's how I get. It gets aggravating. It's not always. Um, it doesn't always. It's so much work into like this video. The video I released on the Hebrew Apologetics page yesterday called "What color was Adam, King David, and Saul?" That video I worked on for like 2 weeks. Like, and I mean, night and day, like working on that one. And it started off as one project, and I ended up having to split this into like three separate different videos because the categories all start intertwining together. Um, yes, it says, yeah, we are always looking for more women and diverse voices to bring on board. I mean, that's the goal. I mean, it started for many years in this country where it was kind of divided, where it was mostly black and brown, but the elites, the people with the power at this point, if you're not part of the wealthy, then you're the other. And right now, if you're the other, you need to be fighting against the elite. If you consider yourself a socialist, a communist, if you consider yourself a Marxist, libertarian, I don't care. Whatever it is, you're going against the people at the top. Hey, Josh. Uh, I always want to say hello to all my definitely. Uh, I don't want to be one of those people who sit there and get a little arrogant if they get one or two extra people in. So glad, glad to see you in there. Um, and and I know I haven't been on Discord as much lately, but I will be. I've just been working on a lot of videos. Video I'm working on right now goes into the Talmud, and it goes into the history of the Talmud, goes into a lot of different beliefs in the Talmud, controversial shit. And I even have a couple of rabbis giving their takes on it, some of the videos I had. So when I get to some of these subjects, I tend to I let do something for me in the video in a sense. So look out for that. Um, and then I have, different breakdowns. I'll start doing some lives on that channel soon. I actually been trying to figure out how I want to title this segment because I know that I would do a live for this because there's a lot of people in the left sphere who cannot stand evangelicals. And I can't stand a hypocrite. If you're going to be about something, be all the way about it or don't be about it at all. And so what I want to do is I want to kind of set up almost like a little live stream seminar for atheists who want to learn how to confound a Christian. If you don't know what confound means, it means to confuse, trip up, basically catch them in a lie, make them stupid. And the reason why I would do that, you think, well, why is somebody of faith against another person? What I think is what they want to believe in and use that as a weapon. And I'm completely against that. Under my teachings, it says that you should be peaceable with all men and, of course, all genders. Um, but that's what the goal is. So I mean, there's so many things I Christians say, and I'm like, if I could get this person on a live stream with me, I would embarrass them. I would destroy them. But I know that I already know my understanding on some things, so they're not going to do that. But what I can do is I can equip some of those atheists out there to do the dirty work for me. And I'm pretty sure I got some people out there, especially in the LGBTQ community, who have had, evangelicals attack them for many years about their sexuality. Well, I'm gonna give you some stuff where you can attack them right back. So if you're interested in that, please please make sure to hit me up, let me know, and then I'll figure out the time when I'm going to do that because I want to make it a regular segment. So it'll get to the point where people will just know, okay, he's going to be having this going on at this time, and then they can just hop on there, ask whatever questions. He said, I don't consider myself atheist, but rather I'm religious. Yeah, well, those people too. I mean, and you don't, whether you're religious, non-religious, atheist, whether you're agnostic, whether you're a person who just believes in karma. And I believe the Bible has so literally every situation there's an answer in there. For instance, there's so many Christians will take at a full stop. For instance, they'll say, "Well, you shouldn't make technically, but technically, it does not say anything about. In fact, there is a case in the Bible where it tells you to give. There's a part where, like, if a woman has been cheating, like if it's suspected that a woman was cheating in the old day, it literally says that she's supposed to drink this bitter water. What do you think that bitter water is going to do? It gets rid of the child. So in the Bible, it is talking about, you know, with with because it's not everything is not a this means this, so every single time this means that. But I've watched a lot of people use the Bible as a weapon, and now that I've gotten myself a lot more honed and studied in it, and uh, I'm gonna be doing that, and I'm gonna be to the sheep and those who are not the sheep, and anybody who's just curious, because you don't even have to go from a faith one. There's so much historical shit that I could teach you that's in the Bible. I mean, and so I will look at different things in the Bible. Okay, this is talking about Aegeus, blah, 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 skip over. Okay, Aegeus, Agag, Hannibal, Hannibal. Okay, all right, cool. Hannibal's there. It's a way where you can put stuff together. If you have a grasp of ancient history, this getting, I mean, it's full to read. Uh, but the problem is, problem isn't them. Problem is majority of them and all here or there or here enough and then kind of paraphrase. But most of the people have never, because here's something you can even into them. It literally tells you in the Bible. One of the things you're supposed to do or even most of the Bible. So I'm gonna give you guys a lot of fun to get. Let's see. Uh, we were just talking about this in regards to Christianity and like it, are trying to tell me I need to. I'll talk for a little bit more. And Sir Stevie was saying, and I guess I'll here now. But yes, talk about how the rich man take care of the poor. It talks about from basically should like just go for it. There's so much stuff that that you could mostly corrupt and disingenuous people. They look at it have nothing to do with the Bible to just and make them look stupid with the Bible. No matter the religion, uh, people clip segments out of the Bible, Torah, etc., to suit their narrative. Yeah, it's interesting. I've just started getting into reading some stuff in the Quran for the historic aspect. Um, I, I feel like the Quran, it and the same thing with parts of the Talmud. It can tell you historical story. Like for instance, I just in that video that I just dropped, I put a who the founders of Rome was, who started Rome. And so it's history which are hid away. And as you start figuring out what they're hiding, you can start seeing what their movements are. Because I tell people, I used to like, as far as the conspiracy theory people, understand that the people who rule everything believe in the Bible. And so, even if the Bible wasn't true, know that they are basing things off of biblical prophecies. And so, you have to know what those biblical prophecies are to know what they're trying to go towards or go against or go away from, whatever. And that's what started me back into, a lot of my re-looking at things differently because starting trillions of dollars being spent on stuff which didn't make sense to me until I started more research. Um, let's see. It's just kind of like a way you're uh amplifying who you are, which is good if you are a good person. If you're a bad person, you're supposed to be peaceable with all men. You peaceful. Now it does say like that you should rebuke your neighbor in love and stuff like that. But for one, most of these people don't even know what love really is. So if you don't know what love is and you're doing everything nasty, spiteful, then you're already out of spirit. And it even says if you have hate for your not hate, yeah, if you have hate for your brother or sister in your heart, then that's the same as being a murderer. So that's how important it is on having love and compassion. And that's what they consider when they'll say in the Bible, the weightier matters of the law. That's talking about how you treat each other. That's talking about forgiveness. That's talking about compassion. That's talking about, sometimes having patience. That it's talking about all of those things. And even if a person doesn't believe in the Bible, the principles, a lot of the principles of the Levitical law, in fact, believe it or not, many of you all are living by stuff in the Levitical law and don't even know it. It tells you that you shouldn't commit adultery. It tells you shouldn't like. It tells you stuff like you shouldn't sleep with your father's wife. Like for instance, like if he brought like a stepmother, it tells you shouldn't sleep with them. It tells you you shouldn't look at like your mom's brother. You should need to be a pedophile telling you not to commit incest. I mean, I don't see what's wrong with things like that. It has plenty of things like if your neighbor is having all of these problems, help. There's a lot of things which just tell you how you should treat each other. Let's see. Don't believe any of the God stuff, but I grew up going to church. I can believe in the God stuff because they teach it from a lens, and so it's completely ridiculous what they're saying because most of the makes it completely contradicts. So if somebody well, it's complicated. That's a complicated question. Well, it's not complicated. It's because uh, what Christians and what people just in the world don't understand is this whole world that we're living in is like a movie. He's set up who he's decided to be the star and set up the villain, the co-stars. And this shit is out the purpose. That's wrong. In the Bible, literally, I kill. Telling right, cool that. But he signs off on everything, and there's a reason behind it. You don't understand why this and this and this and this happened. I mean, you got to understand what set all these things up for that to be a reason for that to happen. Jesus had got some pretty good. Yeah, he had all kinds of. Well, my favorite is he went into the synagogue and tied those into a braided whip and started whipping the shit out of the money. That's and oh no, he makes bombs. Yes, he does. He makes bombs. That's one thing. The whole rainbow thing. I like. You're not gonna hear me talk on these two issues that much because I just prefer to stay out of it. I prefer to stay out of it. I'm not making any votes on anything, so regardless of what I think, who cares? I'm not changing anything. Uh, the rainbow was the whole point of the rainbow was to say I'm not at all. That was the whole point. In is he says he's going to shoot his arrows. Well, the arrows from the end hit, and all of the arrows are going to hit. And now it's talking about Mystery Babylon. So Mystery Babylon are what the nukes were made for. And it's matter. That's where it gets into different beliefs. So some people might not believe in Mystery Babylon and all the prophecies. And, go check out my I'm laying out my case. Most of the stuff that can't prove in like a couple of sentences. It has to be a lot of stuff to lay out because most of the time I deal with people who are not going to accept one quick, simple answer. So what I have to do is I have to lay it out just like a case, like I said before. I have to lay out all of my evidence. Like for instance, I'm working on a video right now going to flood and proving the flood with science. I'm also going to prove the Exodus and Mount Sinai with science. There's a bunch of stuff which I'm going to break down. Sodom and Gomorrah. I'm going to show that and break it down and prove that with science. I'm also going to show different points in the Bible which predict it. And people say, oh, well, they could have just thrown out some random predictions. Nobody can predict 500 to 600 years into the future exactly that somebody is going to rise into power, know their name, know how long they're going to be in power, know how many kingdoms they're going to take over, know how much wealth they're going to get, and then know when they're going to die and know exactly what's going to happen with that kingdom after they die. Somebody has to be able to explain these kind of things to me. If they can give me an explanation or something, then okay, cool. Yeah, you've debunked me now. But if we don't have no time machines, somebody has to explain predicting stuff that happened centuries before it happened. See, based on the stories I've heard, God sounds like an abusive boyfriend. Actually, no. What it is what he's talking to his children. Now, if you have kids and you tell them, hey, go in the room, go do all your homework, they don't. After a while, you're gonna start putting the belt on their ass. That's what would happen. When the Israelites went into captivity the first time in Egypt, most people don't know what they were doing before that. If you knew what they were doing, now you know why they're getting their ass whooped. Then they say, oh, daddy, oh, sorry, we're sorry. And then they get out of trouble. And then they go back to doing all the bad shit that they were doing before. And then they go back into slavery again to the Assyrians, because that was the northern kingdom. They were the worst. And then after that, you know, the southern kingdom, Judea, they are acting a fool also. Then what happens? They get sent into Babylonian captivity. They say, "Oh no, no, no! Save us, save us, save us, save us!" He saves them. Then what do? They be good for a little while, go right back to the same shit again. And then what happens? Then the Persians and the Medes do it. This pattern repeats over and over and over and over. So that's the reason why he does the stuff that he does to them. There's if you got to know the whole story, what's been going on. It's kind of like if you see two guys standing there and you see one guy punch the other guy and you freak out. Well, how do you know that the other guy before didn't punch him like 5 times and you just caught the last swing? That's what it is. Like, there's some stuff which people, I just have to break it down a little bit more. Say, he stepped out about 2,000 years ago, got a pack of smokes. Well, he did say, I'm hiding my face from you. So he literally did hide his face, kind of in a sense, take his pack of cigarettes. I mean, well, it says his kingdom it talks about fiery wheels and smoke. So yeah, there's some smoke going on there, definitely. But that's a good one. I love that comment. But yeah, I guess I'll go on ahead and end it here before it kicks me off and before I run everybody else out of the room because I know a lot of our atheist friends do not enjoy the Bible conversation. But I try my best to try to make it fun and enjoyable. But who knows? So, hopefully I can start bringing more people around to these conversations and have fun with it. But thank you for joining me today. And especially Stevie and Josh for I give them like the marathon award. You guys hung out through my supposed to be short car ride chat. But since I was having a little bit of fun and I got a couple of my friends from the Discord and we're going back and forth, I figured, hey, I could sit in here and chop it up with you guys for a minute. I got to get my ass to finishing up this on these videos. I am like my storage is sitting at like 97%, and so I gotta hurry up and finish these videos so I can actually start doing some other videos. Let's see, laugh my ass off. I like when you do these movies. I'll definitely do. I'll make sure that when I do my live stream, I'll make sure to send you a reminder. You guys, just so that you guys can throw every question you have at me. That's what I want you to do because I realize that the reason why most people don't understand the Bible is from the Romans perspective. I'm going to teach you guys the Bible from the Hebraic understanding, the real Hebraic understanding. And whether the most of those rabbis, they're teaching the Talmud. So even now, you can't even go to the Jewish people and truly learn about. You're going to learn the Talmud, and the Talmud is basically just opinions on the opinion of the Torah. So, I mean, the damn Talmud is like 10 times longer than the Torah, and they spend most of the time studying that. So, if you really want to learn the Bible, don't go there. That's not the way. I mean, hell, one of the biggest things in the Bible where it says how you know who an Israelite is by the seed of their fathers, and everybody in Israel goes by the seed of the mother because that's what the Talmud says. That's not what the Bible says at all. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that. But whatever. They're allowed to, they're recognized as the authorities on things. So hey, they can say whatever the fuck they want to, I guess. But that said, have a good one. I'll catch you all later. And for those in the recast, please drop questions into the chat afterwards. and I will try to bring those comments up and answer them in the next car ride chat. Actually, I normally don't do one on Fridays, but I am gonna do one tomorrow. So yes, please make sure to catch the car ride chats. I'm actually having fun with it. I kind of thought of it. It would just be something where I'm able to put some content up, help my algorithm a little bit. But um, on days when there's these big news blitz, it also allows me to be able to hop on and give my take early. And so it doesn't feel like I'm waiting all week long because sometimes it feels so agonizing. I want to give my say so. So, even though it's not as polished as I would prefer, just having a conversation with you guys and loving it. So thank you so much. You guys are all, so wonderful. I do have so much love for all of you out there. I'll talk to you later. This has been, yeah, what I've been thinking. Man, I always get my shows mixed up. What I've been thinking, car ride chats. You guys have a great and wonderful afternoon and evening.